the club review path, I want to talk about that because would you consider that almost like a turning point for your YouTube channel? Starting to dive into
that
clubs?
happened really. Well, you know what? If you look back on the channel, that actually happened really early on in the channel. It was more for me. Why did I do? I don't know why I quite did it. If I'm honest with you, I probably just thought to myself, if I only do coaching videos, I might run out of ideas.
Yeah,
I need other strands of content, and a lot of people, because I didn't work at a golf shop, a lot of people would ask for my advice on equipment because I was impartial. I had no connection. Yeah, I didn't need to know you were going to buy the latest and greatest driver. My sole goal was to help you get the best equipment for you and not get ripped off. So I think maybe that stemmed with my just natural interest in technology, probably just kind of circulated, and I ended up doing club reviews and testing. And the one that kind of went viral for me to a degree at the time, this would have been the start of 2013, maybe, when Nike brought out the very first Nike Covert driver.
Right.
And there was a rep that came into, there's an American golf shop at Trafford Golf Centre where I worked, but there were separate entities. Like, that was a golf shop. I didn't work in there. I just coached at the facility. So a rep came down from Nike showing off these new Nike Covert drivers, right? I had no idea of the word embargo. Like,
right.
You were talking a different language to me if you said that to me back then.
Right.
So I remember saying to this guy, this Nike rep, "Oh, that's amazing. Do you mind if I just borrow these drivers and give them a hit?" And he went, "Yeah, of course you can. Go ahead." So I took these Nike drivers again back. I'm sure it was start of 2013. Set up my cameras really, really quickly. Whacked a load of shots on Flight Scope, and kind of did a bit of a review of them. Next day, I posted it online. This is the first time anybody had seen these Nike drivers. Like, and you got some bloke in Manchester not having a genuinely at the time, not thinking I'd done anything wrong. I honestly didn't realize that it was kind of, not right to do. I mean, I weirdly didn't end up getting a bollocking, but I think the Nike rep probably got a bit of a roasting. But and I think then, because let's say a coaching video would get me at the time 1,000 views in a week, let's say, for example. I remember this Nike video getting like 1,000 views in like the first 3 hours. And I was like, oh,
onto something. Yeah.
People are interested in this sort of stuff. And because, again, even back at that Nike video, I didn't care if you bought it or not. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted to give you a bit of information, what I thought about it. Did it sound good? Did it do what it should do? And that's still evident right now in today's reviews that I do. That's the same premise. It's just obviously advanced a bit. But what's weird now is reviews are a nice part of the channel, but they're not the big part of the channel. Like, reviews very rarely change the dial for us, move the needle. They just don't.
Because it's super cool now that there's a lot of people out there that won't go spend $600 on a Stealth unless they hear what Rick Shiels has to say about it, and you've come a long way. And that's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's 12 years of trust. Sure. I'd like to think I've built with my audience. 12 years of not massively changing my stance on what I think about equipment, getting excited about new equipment.
Right.
Because I love new equipment. I love it.
Sure.
I love it. But I'm also a realist, and I'm also still, going back to my core, I'm still a golf coach. And I know these golf clubs are lovely, and they have advanced enormously in the last 10 years, 12 years. But if you want to get better at golf, you're better off fixing your swing rather than buying a £600 driver or $600 driver. Right. But people do get excited about equipment, and I've got no issues whatever if somebody wants to go out and buy a 10 grand set of clubs. Not an issue. Just as long as you manage your expectations, knowing that 10 grand set of clubs isn't going to make you, a scratch golfer overnight.
Right. And now you've managed, as you said, to stay kind of with that philosophy and be independent. Now you have the biggest YouTube channel in the world now. I got to imagine that the brand deals come knocking. Is it something for you? Is it a philosophy where you just say, I want to remain independent and I want to say what I can say and whatever it may be? Or is it a monetary decision? It just makes more, sense revenue wise to stay independent. How do you process that out?
Yeah, I think I'm incredibly selective with brand partners. So every brand partner I've had so far, whether it was Nike for clothing, I only signed with Nike for clothing because they'd stopped making equipment. I wouldn't have signed with Nike if they still made equipment. Similar to any real brand that makes equipment, I wouldn't massively sign with them because I just think there's always a question mark over then the authenticity of the review. Mm-hmm. And for me, again, this has taken 12 years to build this confidence in my audience, or 11 years to build this confidence in my audience. Trust. It's too valuable to me.
Yeah.
That is too, it sounds daft. It's almost hard to put a price tag on it because I honestly think that's a huge part of the success and the growth is that it doesn't feel like an advert. It's not. If anything, I'm on the side of the consumer massively more than I am of the manufacturers. So you're right. I have many brand deals that come through, and we have to sift through ones that are good or bad. But I must admit, 98% of them go on the no pile.
Yeah.
Just because it's just not worth it for me. The channel's doing well. It's not a money thing, as in these brand deals almost can't justify the spend, because if you actually put a price on eyeballs, it's a bloody lot of money.
Right.
And we get comfortably over 11 million views a month. That's a lot of reach. Right. So a lot of the time, even if brands do come in, I sometimes kind of play around with it and go, well, this kind of, if you were to get involved, this is the potential reach. This is the potential numbers. And sometimes they say no, which is fine, because I'm like, it doesn't make me look like the bad guy then. I'm like, but I'm not, when I say these brands, let me just make this very clear. This is not manufacturers. This is, I've never, ever, pretty much every single manufacturer out there in golf has put an offer down on the table in the last 12 years to 11. I keep saying 12, 11 years. And every time I've said no, because it's just, for me, it's just not worth it. It's just, and I've seen other YouTubers do it. I'm not sure if it's worked out for them or not, but I think just for me, it's just a straight no, and I'll kind of stick with that.
Yeah. Well, what you said early on when we were first talking was saying about how YouTube, to a certain extent, has to be raw and real. And I think people would pick up very quickly if something wasn't, honest or something. It would be very see-through. So it's great that, you picked up on that so early and just knew that, and you started even before YouTube, as you said, building that community with Twitter by just having fun doing it and offering people value. And by being able to continue doing that with this, I think it's, why change that formula of such great success? And plus you can, you lay your head at night knowing, you've been very honest with your community and things like that.
Yeah.